down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. Heading into week 5 of the NFL. We had an eventful weekend behind us. Couple of shakeups at the top for sure. Maybe at the bottom as well in the power rankings. But Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I am better than Patriots fans right now because it looks like the sky is falling there in New England. They're screaming to bench Mac Jones at this point. I think we went over this last year, but the Patriots fans have this need for the next Tom Brady, right? And I think they wanted to be Bailey Zappi. We saw him come in. He didn't set the world on fire, but you know that he did last season. Last season he had a couple good games. And we could see Bailey Zappi come back in here and actually take over for the rest of the season because the fans are really mad at Mac Jones. Maybe even Will Grier. They have him on the bench. Who knows? But it is not all good in New England right now. How are you?
I'm good. I'm better than... I'm going Giants fans. I'm going Giants fans this week. I was hoping to say Broncos fans again, but they pulled off that incredible comeback. It would have been even funnier if they somehow managed to lose to the Bears. But that game was 60 minutes of both teams trying their best not to win. Mm-hmm. And in the end, the Broncos lost a tank ball, I guess you could say. If we're considering it, all those teams in the market for a quarterback. Now better than Giants fans. I woke up with... high expectations just this morning because the Monday night games, since I live in Europe, I always watch them the next day because it's like very late in the night for me. And I was hoping they'll finally get it together and pull one over on the Seahawks, and it just it was rough. I turned off in third quarter because it didn't go anywhere. So I guess we're better than fans of quarterbacks by the name of Jones, all things considered.
That's it. That's
the one, right?
Yeah,
it's bad weekend to be named Jones. So there is a quarterback who was drafted late, whose name is pretty close to Brady, who's doing pretty good for himself at the moment. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that further down the line, which is right now, by the way, because we have our MVP power rankings, and for me, pretty big shakeup. Though one thing, which some people may disagree with, I still have Tua at number 1 by a small margin, considering the first 2 games that he played. I feel like so far from the community votes, Tua has been number 1 every week. I think we could see a shakeup there. For me, I still have him number 1 by a slight bit. Josh Allen out of nowhere number 2. He was best quarterback by far last weekend. Justin Herbert at 3, Brock Purdy number 4, and number 5. I was thinking about it, and I know, like, people talk about him, he's not going to win, but I just put Christian McCaffrey in the number 5. A quarterback won't win, a non-quarterback won't win the MVP, or be extremely surprised if he did. But just as like an honorable mention, because I couldn't really decide on who that 5th quarterback would be. Maybe Jared Goff, maybe Lamar Jackson, but I decided I'll put Christian McCaffrey there. So who do you have this week?
Pretty much the same. I think up at the top, it's Tua and Allen pretty much tied right now. Allen was entering the conversation just last week, so it's kind of hard for him to jump right up to the top. That was a really dominant performance, and the Bills are back, if you haven't heard. Allen looks phenomenal out there. He looked like Tua last week, so right now I think it's kind of a dead tie. And right behind him, nipping on their heels, is Brock Purdy. Regardless if anyone wants to believe it, it is kind of a tough swallow that Mr. Irrelevant's going to come up and win the MVP, but it's very possible at this point if he continues to play like that and that team keeps winning in such dominant fashion, he's going to be in the conversation at the very end of the season. There is a distance between the next two. It's Herbert, Hurts, and Lamar. They are nipping up there. Christian McCaffrey probably should be there over Herbert, Hurts, and Lamar. He really should be there, but it's probably not going to happen because there hasn't been a non-quarterback win the MVP since 2012, Adrian Peterson, which was a running back, so there's that going for Christian McCaffrey. But what did he have? 4 touchdowns back-to-back in the past?
Yeah, 4 touchdowns in one game, yep.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man. It's going to be unprecedented if he continues at that pace. I don't I mean, these quarterbacks are going to have to do something extremely phenomenal to win this. If McCaffrey, I mean, I know he's not going to get 4 touchdowns in every game, but if he continues 2 touchdowns, 3 sometimes, maybe even 4 rarely, he's going to be in that conversation, and he may win it in the end. He'll probably steal it from Purdy if that's the case, if the team keeps winning like that. But, yep, Tua and Allen are tied for number 1 right now.
That's fair. That's a fair judgment. If you are interested in voting, this poll is out on the channel community page every week, so you can go ahead and leave your vote for who you think is the current NFL MVP in the season end of the day. On McCaffrey, he is on track for, I believe, 2,500 yards from scrimmage and 30 touchdowns on the season if he kept going the way he did. The reason that Brock Purdy probably won't win the MVP is Christian McCaffrey, by the way, because the running game is just too much of a feature in the Niners offense. Though Purdy completed 19 of 20 of his passes last weekend, had the best passer rating in the league by far, and actually leads the league in passer rating for the season. He's lacking in just the absolute stats, right? He doesn't have the yards and the touchdowns that a Tua or Josh Allen or Justin Herbert will accumulate over a season because the offense is more run heavy. So I think that's what's probably going to hamper him because he's like a game manager type quarterback, right? Of course, he's doing really great in that role, but less likely to win those awards. And as for McCaffrey, I think there is an MVP award if you're not a quarterback. It's called Offensive Player of the Year. I think that's what he's currently the front runner that we're looking at. But Tua and Allen, I think, as the top 2, I'm expecting that to be sort of the consensus as well in the community vote. But we will see. Now, secondly, new game that we introduced this season for you, Smokey, which is called Guess the Biggest Spread. And that brings us to week 5 of the NFL. We have 4 teams on bye this week, so only, 14 games? Mm-hmm. But can you guess the biggest spread as of today?
Well, looking through these games right now, I do see a few that stand out. I think I see 4 that stand out, and 2 of them that probably stand out more than the other 2. But the Bills and Jaguars, I assume after that dominant performance, the Bills are going to have a pretty big spread over the Jaguars, although I think the Jaguars are going to put it together, so I don't think it's going to be as bad as people are assuming. Another game would be the Ravens over the Steelers, especially if Mitchell Trubisky is going to be starting here, which that may be a lateral change at this point because Pickett was not setting the world on fire, and I had high hopes for that team, and they may still pull it together, but without Pickett, Trubisky's going to be there. That'll probably be a big spread. The 2 biggest ones, though, the Lions over the Panthers, because the Lions are on fire right now, and the Panthers are a dumpster fire right now. And the other one would be the Dolphins and the Giants, and I believe that's the one I would go with, the Dolphins over the Giants.
That is correct. Dolphins and Giants are the biggest spread. They are, it's 10.5 point spread.
Wow.
For the Dolphins at home. In fact, this is the only spread this week that is double-digit points.
Wow.
10.5 for Miami.
Was the Lions and Panthers second?
It's second, yeah.
Oh, sweet.
nine points. So you nailed it. You got it perfectly.
All right.
Didn't just guess the biggest one. You guessed the 2 biggest ones. So
nice.
That is perfect. Before we get into these picks for all these games, how was our prediction standings from last week?
Oh yeah. Let's get into this because it's actually doing really well. Last week I beat you once again, so I am closing the gap rapidly here. Although we only disagreed on 3, and I won 2 of those. One of the disagreements was your tie pick of the Broncos and the Bears, which you were actually surprisingly close to having that happen. Yeah, that would have meant that I lost some points this week, but I got that one because I did pick the Broncos. The Ravens and Browns, who knew that Deshaun Watson was not going to play until the very last minute, and I lost that one, unfortunately, and I think I would have won if Deshaun Watson would have started.
Maybe.
The other one is somehow you picked the lowly Patriots to beat the Cowboys in Dallas last week. We expected that to be a defensive battle, but the Patriots gave up. They're not in support of Mac Jones anymore. I think the entire team just sat down and said, you know what, Cowboys, you can have this. We are done here. So I got 3 I got 2 out of 3 we disagreed on. Total for this week was 11 for me, 10 for you. The total overall is 37 for me and 40 for you.
Okay, 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I start making these ridiculous picks so early on in the season, but I guess it's just that I want the Cowboys to lose. Even if it's New England, not that I like New England, but wanted them to lose. Didn't happen, but they have a pretty good shot of losing this week at least, so I'm looking forward to that, but that's the game we will get into. Are you ready for week 5?
Exactly, yes.
Alright, let's run through them, and we're starting off with a game truly worthy of primetime here on Thursday night. Bears at the Washington Commies.
Oh man, if they can't flex island games, like what are we doing here? Why are the Bears and Commanders playing on Thursday night? Now, I guess in all fairness, this might be a shootout, so it might be exciting to watch. There is no defense played amongst either of these teams. They both can give up big points. And with 2 mobile quarterbacks, we've seen that both of these teams can put up points when they are on their game here. The Bears gave it to the Broncos, but that's the Broncos. We've discussed how bad they are. Commanders almost put one over on the Eagles. You know what? I actually circled the Bears when I wrote this down, but looking at it now, because the Commanders played the Eagles so close, and that is the defending national champs, I might... No, you know what? I'm going to stick with it. I say that Justin Fields continues to play better. I know it's been bad. Don't get me wrong. He's been bad. Last week, he actually played well against a bad defense. I think he may continue to get better. He's not going to get better at passing. That's beyond him at this point. He's going to run the ball a lot, and I think he's going to run over the Commanders. I will stick with my pick and pick the Bears on the road.
All right, so you're taking the bold pick here. Mm-hmm. I will gladly sit here and take Washington. I think they're an average team, which is a whole lot more than the Bears can currently claim to be. So Sam Howell's been looking, I think, better than most people expected. And also, I think this could... You're saying a shootout? I'm thinking this could be a blowout, or actually a rather low-scoring game, because if we think about the real strengths of the Washington team, my first thought is defensive line. And up front is where the Bears are currently losing the absolute worst. And we know that Justin Fields, he might be the most sacked quarterback, either him or Daniel Jones in the league.
Absolutely.
He can't handle pressure very well, so if you get him contained, they have a lot of pass rushes. They have a decked-out defensive line. I think that's going to dominate the game start to finish at home in Washington, and I think it's going to be a pretty easy win, actually, for the Commanders. So I will take Washington to roll over the Bears, set them to 0-5. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, man, I did not see it that in favor. Now, I mean, looking back at it, I do believe that the Commanders should be favored in that game, obviously, but I'm taking the Bears. Either way, the Jaguars and the Bills. The Bills are coming off of that dominant performance over what should have been the number 1 team in the power rankings. I imagine it's the Bills now, even though they have identical records. I believe they should be at number 1. The Jaguars coming off a win in England over the Falcons, which we all predicted. It was no surprise. The Falcons are not playing well right now. I think they will get better throughout the season. Not right now, though. The Jaguars did nothing super special in that game. They did what it took to win that game, and they did it in Jaguars fashion. But the Bills are just too good at this time. I want the Jaguars to be good, but it's not going to happen here because the Bills are dominant. Josh Allen is on fire. I expect it to continue in Buffalo this week. I'm taking the Bills.
I agree with that. I will take Buffalo as well. At this point, I would consider them the favorites in the AFC. I haven't seen them at number 1 in any power rankings, but they're in most power rankings, they're number 2 or 3. So people are pretty high on them after beating the Dolphins, obviously, in even a pretty convincing manner. I think the Bills are really found their groove. Josh Allen is currently the odds-on favorite to actually win the MVP. And if it keeps going like that, I think they'll be in a good spot. This is the second London game, of course, for the Jaguars. And they tend to be doing pretty good in London. It's kind of like a home game for them. course, Bills, a little bit of a different caliber, so I'll take Buffalo as well. Getting it done and sending the Jaguars home 1-1. Speaking of London games, your Falcons just played in London. Didn't look too great, but this week they are welcoming the Houston Texans to town.
Before the season started, I would have penciled this as a win. However, the Texans and CJ Stroud look like a legitimate team. Like, their record is 2-2, but the games they have lost, they were playing tight. And I don't know. I think the Texans are way better than anyone gave them credit for. CJ Stroud may break the curse of the Ohio State quarterback. I don't know, but we thought that about Justin Fields at one point in time. Maybe not you. I know you've had your differences, but a lot of us thought that was going to happen. It looks like it might happen with CJ Stroud here. Now, there's always room for it to just crash and burn because he is an Ohio State quarterback. Therefore, the Falcons, man, God, this offense is so stale. They're not trusting Ritter to throw the ball whatsoever. Like I said last week, when you're down and you're in the fourth quarter, why are you throwing short screens and passes behind the line of scrimmage? God, let this offense open up for once. You have Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts out there. You have Jonnu Smith. You got Bijan Robinson, maybe the best running back in the entire league. Why can't you open up the offense? Quit playing it safe. Arthur Smith, man, I don't know. It may not work out if he continues this up because we need to see some flashes and we need it quick. However, Desmond Ridder is still 4-4 in his first 8 starts, so it's not as bad as everyone's claiming it is. But either way, I got to pick the Texans here. I feel bad about it. I want the Falcons to win, but the Texans have been playing really good, so I have a feeling the Texans win this.
This is a tough pick. First of all, I'm not letting you call anyone the best running back in the league if it's not McCaffrey uncontested. So I
said maybe,
but yeah, no, there's no. I'm not letting that fly either. There's no maybe at the moment. Best rookie running back. I'll give you that because Jahmyr Gibbs has been kind of disappointing so far because they're not really using him all that much up in Detroit. But I'm very conflicted about CJ Stroud. See, there's a lot of factors that don't speak in his favor. The Ohio State superstition is one. The fact that he has a defensive head coach, which tends to not help young quarterbacks. And the fact that the Texans' offense is largely completely devoid of talent. But then there's reason to be optimistic in that he is actually doing it with his arm. Like, he is a passing quarterback. That's how he's getting things done. When Justin Fields was successful, remember in his rookie year in his second season, usually he kept the game alive with his feet and on the ground, and teams start taking that away, and then he's kind of a deer in headlights. And CJ Stroud is actually throwing the ball, and he's making good decisions. So that is what I personally like to see much more in young quarterbacks than them running around. I like him much better than Anthony Richardson, for instance, but that's maybe a matter of preference. I think this is a more sustainable way of playing. So, and I also kind of like the Texans because I like DeMeco Ryans for obvious reasons. So, this is a tough one for me to pick. Atlanta has so much more talent offensively and probably defensively as well. They're a more experienced team. But given what I've seen the past 2 weeks, I have to go with the same trend, and I have to pick the Texans to go into Atlanta and win, even though the Falcons should be on paper a much superior offense. They just haven't shown it. They should have been a superior offense to the Jaguars, and they didn't show it at all. So until I see something different from Arthur Smith and actually let them open up the offense, like you said, I'm taking Houston. They're riding the wave right now, and they're looking good. So Texans win. Panthers at the Lions.
This one is not much of a contest. Is Bryce going to be back out there or not? Does it even matter? That's the question. The Lions are on fire. Speaking of a good offense, they're not blowing out any teams like 50 to anything, but they're getting the job done and winning by 2 touchdowns at least in each game. Except for that one they dropped. They even beat the Chiefs at the first of the season. This team is really good. It is really good. This is a playoff team. This maybe is a contending for the National. Who knows, man? I think the Lions are going to go for it. They're going to continue their winning ways. Here, the Panthers are not much of a contest. I'll take the Lions at home.
I will also take the Lions at home, though I'm still waiting for Bryce Young to finally get over that hump and get it done. I don't think this week is the week. As for the Lions, I mean, they've been looking really good. They've been winning, convincingly beating the Packers, who are finally starting to realize that Aaron Rodgers is no longer in town. The division is no longer theirs to take by default. I think the Lions are taking their place, as I had predicted, as the emerging favorites in the division. Are they contenders for the NFC title? I don't know. I don't know if they can beat Dallas, Philadelphia, and San Francisco with any sort of confidence at this point in time. But the season's young, and there's certainly possibility. I think right now they are the fourth best team in the NFC, which does say a lot. I think so. I'm big on the Lions this year, and I think they're convincingly winning another one here in Carolina, and they'll be they're in the top 10 of the power rankings, have been for a while. They might find themselves in the top 5 at some point soon. So Lions to take care of business against Carolina. Titans and the Colts.
Yeah, and this entire division is 2-2 right now, and I don't know what to make of any of them, to tell you the truth. I felt good about the Jaguars. Well, we'll see. I think they're going to pull it out this week, obviously. The Titans and the Jaguars, Titans and the Colts, sorry. One of these teams has to win. Who's it going to be? I don't know. The Titans are probably the biggest enigma out of this entire division, because they look like world beaters one week, and then they look like a dumpster fire the next week, and then the next week. But then they go back to being world beaters again against the Bengals of all. Maybe that's the symptoms of how bad the Bengals are right now. I don't know, but I want to say that Anthony Richardson is doing above expectations. I mean, he's doing a lot with his feet. Still not passing very well. I don't know. I don't know what to make of either of these teams. If the Titans are on, they're going to win this one by 2 touchdowns. If they're not, the Colts are going to win by 2 touchdowns. That's all it is. I'll take the home team. Call it a toss-up. Colts at home.
Anthony Richardson is like the quarterback equivalent of a flash grenade. Like, either he's completely tearing the roof off, or he's just kind of smoking out and nothing happens. But he's currently doing very, very well. Obviously, with the ground game, he's like one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. He's already set some records there. Passing wise, if he hits, he hits. Like, he had this absurd throw last week, up like a 25-yard high point pass to the slot receiver down the seam, which is just like one of the best passes I've ever seen anyone throw. But the consistency, of course, is sort of the question with him there. He tends to overfire a little bit. If you want to compare him to Brett Favre or something, it happens. So the consistency is to be worked on. I think they're the opposite of the Titans in a way. With the Titans, I feel like you kind of know what you're getting with them. Yeah, they looked very good last week, but I think that is because the Bengals really are so incompetent at the moment. They played the Chargers down to the wire, ended up winning that one with a last-second field goal. This is probably the hardest game to pick for this week, but I'm going to put my faith in the Titans to actually go on the road and get it done, because I believe they have the consistency of, first of all, a reliable run game with Derrick Henry. Who knows what's going to happen to Jonathan Taylor? I personally don't believe he's going to suit up for the Colts this year, but you never know. Maybe if they have legitimate playoff chances after sort of week 8, he will. Right now, I'm taking the Titans to get it done. I believe the Titans would completely suck this year, and we'd see Ryan Tannehill benched in the middle of the season. Right now, I'm looking above expectations, so Tennessee wins this one. Giants at the Dolphins. We already know the spread for this one, but I'll let you make the pick anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to see Tannehill get benched, because I want to see the Kentucky quarterback to see if he has any potential in the NFL. Giants and the Dolphins. This is not a contest. The Dolphins, yes, they're coming off of a loss, but they are still a top 3-4 team in the entire league. Probably 2 or 1 still in most power rankings. The Giants, however, are not. They are bringing up the rear. You can't make any argument at all. This is even in Miami. There is no argument you can make that says the Giants has a chance in this game. I'll be taking the Dolphins.
I'll also take the Dolphins convincingly. However, they have actually dropped out of the top 5 in many power rankings after that loss. Yeah. it's looking pretty bad for them. Right now, on the NFL power rankings, they've dropped from number 1 last week all the way to 6.
What?
Dropped by 5 spots, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I mean,
right now they've got the NFL.com has Niners, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Cowboys, and then the Dolphins at number 6.
no, I could see the 49ers. I could see the Dolphins at 3, not 6. No.
I'd probably put them. To me, it's like it's difficult, right? You have to put the Bills ahead of them.
Yeah, I guess so.
You have to put the Niners ahead of them.
Yeah.
Then you could argue the Eagles are undefeated. You can't really put the Dolphins ahead of the Eagles. And then you're debating between Chiefs, Eagles, and Dolphins. Mm-hmm. I'd probably put the Dolphins ahead of the Cowboys. I would definitely do. And then they're fighting for 4th place with the Chiefs. That's how my power ranking would look right now. I'd go Niners, I'd go Bills, Eagles, and then either the Chiefs or the Dolphins and the Cowboys and 6.
Well, the Chiefs have a loss too, and they have struggled more than the Dolphins have so far this season.
They've not been convincing. That's true. I definitely don't agree with the Chiefs being second here. They're ahead of the Bills. I don't agree with that one.
Not at all.
Because they might as well just have lost to the Jets if 1 or 2 penalties weren't called. And they'd be number 10 if that happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's how it's looking right now. It's a pretty bad loss for Miami.
Yeah. Wow.
You could call it an overreaction. I think they'll right the ship here. And they're running into the exact team they needed to here with the Giants, because it's a punching bag, kind of like the Denver situation. I think they'll pile on here, 50 points kind of thing. And Giants are not looking good, so Miami will make some MVP candidates again this week. So Dolphins win convincingly. Saints and the Patriots.
Tank Bowl right here, man. Derek Carr played for whatever reason. I think they would have had a better chance to play Jameis Winston. I know he came in and threw 1 pass, and it was 1 interception. But I think if they would have left him in the entire game, they would have had a better shot. But Derek Carr is out there hobbled, and he's not playing very well. The whole team is bad. Interesting stat from that game. Alvin Kamara came back and had 13 catches out of the running back position for 33 yards. A whole whopping 33 yards on 13 catches. Which is showing you how well Derek Carr is passing the ball downfield. Patriots, like I said, they're bad. The fans are mad. They want Bailey Zappi out there. We may get him. Who knows? We may get him. And I think they may have a better shot at winning this one because of it. I think this is going to be a rebound for the Patriots, because the Saints with Derek Carr or Jameis Winston, which I don't know, maybe even lateral, who knows, but I'll take the Patriots at home.
So I think Belichick has already announced that Mac Jones will be the starter in this game. I think he did, and also the Patriots just lost their best player to an injury for probably up to 2 months. Matthew Judon out with a torn bicep. I don't think they'll even rush him back for the end of the season if they're not in playoff contention, but he's expected to be out up to 2 months. So that's going to hurt their chance a lot, because he was maybe the most underrated defender in the league. He was in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation last year and might as well have won it. So that's going to hurt their chances quite a bit. The defense still looking good. Christian Gonzalez is turning out to be a superstar. But I will actually take the Saints here. Now, they look terrible against the Bucs, but I think there's a lot of, NFC South rivalry. Everything can kind of happen. Mike Evans kind of torched them as well. I'm thinking it doesn't matter the quarterback. Patriots are looking pretty down bad. I know they're never out of it, because they'll always come up with some genius on defense or on special teams to keep games close if they don't, don't allow 14 defensive points from the opponent in the first half like they did against Dallas. I don't think that'll happen again, but Saints still beat the Patriots at New England, and then maybe the week after we get a quarterback change. Not that I'm rooting for it. I'm rooting for Mac Jones, obviously, because he's an Alabama player, but he definitely tends to have these bad games, so let's see if we can rebound. I'm taking the Saints, though. Ravens and the Steelers.
Oh, speaking of Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Queen versus TJ Watt. One of these guys might actually win it this year. The Steelers are probably going with Trubisky in this one. which, like I said earlier, that may be a lateral move. Also, I think their receivers are going to be fine because Trubisky will throw the ball, but much like Jameis Winston, he's going to throw some interceptions also. On the other side, the Ravens won like they did because the Browns did not have Deshaun Watson. That's the thing. People are like, oh, but that's one of the best defenses in the entire league. But when the offense, they were playing a rookie, when the offense can't stay on the field, the defense wears out. The other team is going to start scoring like crazy because they are tired and their offense can't stay on the field. That's why the Ravens blew out the Browns, even though the Browns had a good defense. Although I think the Ravens are still an overall better team, especially Lamar is a better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky. I will be taking the Ravens on the road.
I will also take the Ravens on the road. Don't know, not sure about Pittsburgh. You've never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin, and the division is very much in reach. If the Steelers win this game, they are in position to win the division, or to take the lead in the division, as crazy as that sounds. Because the Bengals are terrible, the Browns are kind of a mixed bag, and so are the Ravens. But of course the Steelers are as well. Crucial game. But with, like you said, Kenny Pickett with that knee injury is kind of week to week. Don't really know how much time he's going to miss. Mitch Trubisky's going to start. And defense been looking good for the Steelers, but I don't know if they'll be able to contain this Baltimore running game all game. And I don't think Mitch Trubisky will produce the kind of points that he needs to, so Ravens win. At Pittsburgh, Bengals at Cardinals. Tank Bowl, maybe?
Maybe so, to tell you the truth. And hate to see the Bengals in this situation because they have been so prominent over the past 2 seasons. The Cardinals are better than we thought, though. I'll tell you that. Josh Dobbs is having that Geno Smith season, like I said, and they're actually capable of winning some games. We thought the Texans and the Cardinals were the worst 2 teams in the entire league, and here they are, slightly above average. 4 games into the season, now going into the 5th. The Bengals are absolutely horrible, and they lost T. Higgins. Joe Burrow can't move out there. Obviously, his leg is tore up because he's playing absolutely horrible. And you would have slapped me if I said this before the season started, but I am taking the Cardinals to win this one at home.
I'm not slapping you for that anymore. I mean, it's looking pretty rough. Honestly, I'm having a hard time making this pick. It really seems like everything should tell you the Bengals somehow get this done, but I'm not too sure about this. Arizona's been looking good. Yeah. Like, of course they lost to the Niners, but that's a good team. And they lost arguably. I mean, they put up more of a fight than we thought they made. They beat the Cowboys just a week before. I'm gonna do this. I'll take the Bengals one more time. I'll take the Bengals, but I'll add this caveat to it. If I'm the Bengals coach, GM, whatever, if I lose this game, lose to Arizona, I'm putting Joe Burrow on IR. I'm calling the season at 1-4. Fine. I'll take a lost year. Let the quarterback get healthy. Just give away the season. Get a top 10, top 5 pick. Pick up the best offensive lineman, or maybe Brock Bowers is going to be a big name that's potentially in the conversation at the tight end there. Pick up an impact player on offense. Come back next year with a fully healthy Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow has never been healthy all year. He was banged up week 1. He played through it. Didn't perform up to standard because he wasn't healthy, and because he's playing every week, he doesn't fully heal. So either they get it together and they finally pick up. I think this is probably the last chance for the Bengals this year. You have to. This is an absolute must-win game for Cincinnati. I will trust in them one more time because of the star power. But if you lose to the Cardinals, I say right off the season. I'm saying next year for Cincinnati. But right now, I still believe in them. Eagles and the Rams.
And you are definitely writing off the season if Jake Browning is starting. There's no doubt about that. They do not have a capable backup at all. The Eagles and the Rams. The Eagles are winning. They're still winning. They kind of remind me of the Vikings of last year. They're winning these really close games that could easily go either way. I don't know if it's an intimidation factor at this point. The offense is not as exotic to the league as it was last season. They've seen it for an entire season. I feel like teams are playing them so much closer now also. This kind of reminds me of the Vikings last year, just with a different style of quarterback play. The Rams, on the other hand, are winning against bad teams and losing against good teams. They get Cooper Kupp back in the next week or two. I don't know if it's going to be this game, but that passing offense, especially with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, is going to be ridiculous out there. He's just going to throw for 70 times a game or something. I don't know. I guess I'll take the Eagles. It's probably going to be another one-score game where they win by 3 points at the very end or something, but I will take the Eagles because they're undefeated.
I have no idea who to root for in this game. I am completely undecided. Everything would tell me, of course, root for the Eagles because they're playing the Rams. But then again, I kind of want the Niners to be the only undefeated team left, so I kind of want to root for the Rams in a weird way. But no, I have to root for Philadelphia on this one. I can't let the Rams have it. I'm surprised that you're predicting this to be such a close one. By the way, like the Rams have definitely been overachieving, and the Eagles not underachieving, but maybe playing short of expectations, if that makes sense. Weird to say it of a 4-0 team, but if you're like comparing the Eagles and Niners, like it feels like there's a big difference, not in the record, but in how it was achieved. Because the Eagles have most definitely regressed from what they were last year. At least that's what it's been looking like so far. Playing the Commanders down to a close game. They haven't had these like big blowouts, with the exception for maybe the Minnesota game that we expected them to have. They're not running over people as much anymore. Still think they're a much better roster than the Rams. They have more experience than the Rams, and I believe ultimately their offense will get it done over the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford, this is the kind of game where he throws 2 interceptions again because his defense is swarming, and we know that Matthew Stafford, his biggest weakness is when he does face pressure. He's going to face pressure against the Eagles, so I think he'll have an underwhelming performance. Eagles win. Probably a 10-point spread, I would imagine. I think this is actually a convincing win for Philadelphia. But I'm willing to be surprised. Jets and the Broncos, another tank bowl.
Yeah, it's a tank bowl. Zach Wilson actually played good this past week, which the fans are after Zach Wilson. They want his head, and then he plays good, and they're like, I don't know, maybe we can win with this guy. And then he'll probably lose in dramatic fashion again, and then they're going to want to replace him again. But the problem is you have Tim Boyle on the bench, so you're not doing much unless you do sign Colin Kaepernick or something, which that's probably not going to work now that he's been out of the league for a decade. And the guy doesn't want to play. I'm convinced that he doesn't want to play anymore because he's had opportunities in multiple places that he just turns down every single time. So either way, the Jets are not good, except for sometimes they play all right, and sometimes they can get a win against a really bad defense. Luckily, the Broncos have a really bad defense, but oh man, I don't know. I kind of want to pick the Jets, but I know they're just going to bomb it if I do. The really good defense is probably going to stifle Russell Wilson, but I think being at home, coming off of a win against a very horrible team, they're going to feel somewhat good about it. And the Jets are a horrible team all over anyway. I'll take the Broncos at home.
Give me the Jets with an exclamation point. I will take the New York Jets in this one. The Broncos are terrible. They are a complete Bears meltdown away from being 0-4 and Sean Payton being on the hot seat after 4 games. He says he's inherited the worst coaching situation he's ever seen. He's making it worse by himself. Somehow, I don't know how it's possible, but they've been worse so far than they were last season. I will pick the Jets to win this one. I think Zach Wilson put up a great performance last weekend. Yeah, he made one too many mistakes, but he was by far the best quarterback in that game. And the other guy was Patrick Mahomes, by the way. and they just so happen to lose. Of course, they can't sleep through the first half or the first quarter like they did in that game. Falling behind by 17 points is not a good idea if you rely on your defense more than your offense to win the game. But if they keep it close early on, I think they'll turn over the Broncos 2-3 times, and I think the offense will convert. Probably leaning on the ground, but if Zach Wilson makes decisions like he has, and he made some great plays, by the way. The second touchdown pass he had, that was an amazing pass. That was phenomenal. If he can keep doing that, that's some signs of progress, and I think he will. I think he's learned a lot, and it's all a matter of gaining consistency now. Broncos are a good situation for him to get his first win as a starter this year, and I think the Jets get it done here at Denver. Chiefs and the Vikings.
Hey, the Vikings got a win, finally, which they've been losing those really close games, and they finally got one over the line there. The Chiefs, like you just said, struggled against the Jets. Now they came out and looked like world beaters, and the first quarter they were dominating, but they let them come back on them in the second half. That defense was supposed to be much better than that, to let Zach Wilson's offense Jets led by, well, whatever I was trying to say, you get it. The Chiefs should be much better on defense. They are a dominant offense that, for some reason, during some games this year, they can't quite put it together. And I really don't know why, because other games, they still look like world beaters. Vikings are still bad because that was the Panthers that they finally got their win on, and it wasn't a giant blowout. It was technically a one-score game, 8 points. I'm going to go with the Chiefs because they should win this one. They should be better. I'm not extremely confident in it because of how bad they've played at a couple games this season, but I will still take the Chiefs and hope they win this one.
I'd be highly surprised if this was close. I mean, yeah, they played down to their competition against the Jets, but Patrick Mahomes rarely has two really bad games back-to-back. I think he'll pick up as we know him. He's not by any means putting up anything close to what he has done before in both of his MVP seasons, but he's still doing good. Chiefs are still winning, and the Vikings are objectively a bad team. So Chiefs win in convincing fashion. At Minnesota, now big games. Sunday night primetime, we have game of the week. Cowboys at the Niners.
Absolutely. Although I really do think one of these teams is much better than the others. The Cowboys win, and they blow out teams from time to time, like the Giants, you know. They will blow out some teams, but they also get blown out by the Cardinals. I don't know if you'd call that a blowout, but they got beat up pretty bad by the Cardinals, which they should not have, because the Cardinals should be a bottom barrel team. Cowboys are not that legit, but the 49ers are. They have the best running offense in the league. They have a decent passing offense. They have probably the best defense in the league. It's your team, so it hurts me to say all that, but I will have to pick the 49ers at home.
Taking the Niners, obviously, undefeated team. Cowboys are in this kind of position where they really beat up on bad teams, and it's all nice and good, but then they suddenly struggle in weird ways, like against Arizona, for example. They just can't produce. They produce inconsistent offense. Now, I will say this. The Cowboys' defense is ferocious, and this might be the first game where the Niners' offense gets stumped a little bit. And I think they might have a scoreless quarter or two. I think they'll get slowed down. I think the Cowboys defense is going to make one or two big impact plays, but ultimately I believe Dak Prescott is just going to give the game away, because that's what he does a lot of the time, and that's what he's done in the last few outings with the Niners. Both of those were playoff games over the last 2 years, if you remember. He just ultimately came up short when he's facing a team that can match his own roster and talent. I think Brock Purdy is just a better quarterback, as stupid as it sounds. I think if you look at it objectively, I think that's what everyone would come to as a conclusion. So Niners win, keep it alive, 5-0, especially at home, but this is going to be a barn burn. This is going to be a great, great game, and a potential foreshadow for yet another playoff showdown, which I would be against. third year in a row. Cowboys and Niners in the playoffs, always a classic. But yeah, Niners win. And then the not so anticipated, much smaller primetime game on Monday night. We have the Packers and Raiders.
I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. Not because I consider either of these teams a deep in the playoffs team, but I don't know. For the Packers mostly, I guess. I want to see how this goes because I've noticed this pattern that the Packers are really good a game, then they're really bad a game, then they're really good a game, then they're really bad a game. This is time for them to be really good here against the Raiders. And luckily it's against the Raiders. The Aiden O'Connell-led Raiders. Unless Jimmy G is going to be back out there. Haven't heard yet. Yeah, I doubt it also. Jordan Love should put it together here. This is a soft defense. They're going to give up points also. I don't know. Devontae Adams is still going to work even with Aiden O'Connell. But I think the Packers are just going to overpower them. In the end, I'll take the Packers on the road.
Tough pick, I must say, because I am pretty low on both these teams. Just thinking the Raiders are more dysfunctional in terms of coaching here. Though I would root for like Aiden O'Connell, and it didn't look too bad. Ultimately, didn't have a chance because they couldn't block Khalil Mack in most cases against the Chargers, who put up 6 sacks in a single game, tying I think a franchise record. With the Packers have a good pass rusher. You got Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness is a good pass rushing duo. So I think it'll be a problem for the young quarterback who will be under duress most of the game. The running game is not really working out, and there's a lot of talk about the Raiders already looking to trade or maybe being forced into trading their 2-star players, or one of them, Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, who are both, superstars. Obviously, Max Crosby's been one of those guys like Matthew Judon's been under the radar for a few years now, who's a defensive MVP caliber player as a pass rusher. But this is just not a very disciplined team. It's not a very well-coached team. And I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the Green Bay Packers because I think the 2 young receivers are emerging. They're getting better, and I think they'll win on the road. But I don't see this being a very entertaining one. I don't believe that this is a particularly good primetime game. Don't know what they were thinking with some of these schedulings, but I will also pick the Packers. Mm-hmm. How many do we disagree on this week?
Only 3. I thought it was going to be more than that, but yep, only 3 in the end.
Jets is the big one that stands out to me.
Yeah, Jets and Broncos.
Bengals. Not the Bengals.
No, we both. Oh, actually, I missed that one. You're right.
Yeah, you
we
picked
have
Arizona,
4.
right?
Yeah, I picked the Cardinals. You picked the Bengals.
Saints and Patriots.
Did I miss that one also? Oh, I did. Jesus. Okay.
Some more disagreements.
So, yes. See, I saw those 3 standing out, and I was like, we had to have picked more than that. But yeah, you're right. We have. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss any more. We have the Bears, Commanders. We have the Titans, Colts. We have the Saints.
You had the Bears?
Yes.
Wow, you picked... Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, you opened up with that one.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you thought it was ridiculous.
True.
It is ridiculous, but I have a feeling. I have a feeling they're going to do it.
Okay, I mean...
and I shouldn't be taking too many chances considering I'm behind, but whatever. You only live once. We had the Bengals. Yeah. Saints, Patriots, Bengals, Cardinals, and Jets, Broncos. That's 5 disagreements.
I don't know if I'm taking a risk with the Jets or not. It feels like it doesn't matter who you pick, you're taking a risk. Mm-hmm. Jets or Broncos.
Yeah, definitely.
I have 4 open bets this week, which I think the most I've ever had in a single week, because a lot of these spreads I find weird, and I'll run them by you if you don't mind, and you can tell me if I'm just completely insane or if these are just good opportunities.
All right.
I have the Chiefs -5 at Minnesota. That seems like very little considering the Vikings just about escaped 0-4 and probably being the worst team in the league. The Chiefs to win by less than a touchdown, I don't see. I think it's a convincing one. I'll take a -5.
That's actually tough because of the way the Chiefs have been playing down to their opponents. And we know the Vikings has a decent offense that can score. I see why it's that close. And I don't know. I feel like either it's Chiefs are going to win by 1 point or they're going to win by 5 touchdowns. Like, I don't think there's any middle ground, you know.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, you may be onto something. You may be onto something, yeah.
Who knows? Okay, you're going to disagree with this one, but I have the Saints plus 1.5. Since you take the Patriots to win, I assume the margin there is very slim. I take the Saints plus 1.5 at New England. Too good to ignore. Ravens minus 3.5 at the Steelers with Mitch Trubisky. Field goal for the Ravens is all they get.
Nah, yeah, I'm giving them at least a touchdown or more. Yeah.
Minus 6 I would have given them. And then I have the Bills minus 6 in London versus the Jags. That might be the biggest reach, but I believe they're just that good.
Yeah, because that's a home game. Even though the Bills are technically listed as the home team, that's a home game for the Jaguars. And
it is, yeah.
They got to stay there.
Traveling.
Yeah, exactly. They got to stay there. The Bills will be flying in. Early game.
If it was in Buffalo, it would be a no-brainer to take the minus 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jacksonville, flying up north, it's cold. But now the Bills are traveling, jet lag. Jaguars have been there for a week. Yeah. It's basically their home game.
Yes.
That's maybe why the spread is what it is, but just considering the teams and how the Bills have played the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think they should be 8 to 10 point favorites on normal day.
Yeah, I think the Bills win convincingly. So, yeah, you may be onto something with that one also.
Yeah, it might be the furthest out there one, but so far this year, I've been doing well. I'm, I think, 6-1 when it comes to single game bets. So, I'm gonna keep testing it here.
Oh yeah.
See how these ones work out. But that's all the games. Like I mentioned earlier, we have 4 teams on bye: Browns, Chargers, Seahawks, and the Bucks. I'm always sad when the Chargers are on bye because they're one of my favorite teams to watch.
Yeah.
Aside from the Niners when they're not playing.
Yeah, one of my favorite teams to play assets from in fantasy. And I've been really mad that my Austin Eckler draft has not came through except for one game this season. And now they're on bye, but hopefully he'll be back when they get back. And plus, Justin Herbert and... why am I blanking on the wide receiver's name? Keenan Allen. Yes, Keenan Allen. Those two are both phenomenal assets in fantasies. So, yeah, I can't wait for them to get back because that will help my teams a lot.
Chargers will need Quentin Johnson to step up.
They do.
He was such a superstar at TCU, right? Like he tore through Michigan in the playoff last year.
And got shut down by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, right. Speaking of college, by the way, let's take the 2-minute aside here and let's talk about it real quick. You picking Georgia?
No,
to win it?
No. No, I mean I still want to, and they're still the number 1 in the AP poll, but they are not playing like they were the past 2 seasons. They're not blowing out teams. I don't know what it is. I don't think Carson Beck is actually the quarterback that Kirby Smart wants him to be. We have 2 phenomenal dual threat quarterbacks sitting on the bench. One of them has been there 3 years. The other one, this is his 2nd season. Brock Vandagriff could come in and be a phenomenal dual threat quarterback. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he can throw the ball farther. I don't know what Kirby sees in Beck, but the guy looks very nervous at the beginning of games. And this Butterfingers situation that is going on, I give it the fourth quarter for the Bulldogs have been phenomenal in each of these games. They've been coming back and they've been dominating. If we only played the fourth quarter each week, they would still be by far the favorite to win the entire national championship. But right now, no. Michigan looks good, but they haven't played anybody. Syracuse has been their best team that they've played. Other than that, I don't know. Ohio State's still undefeated. They look okay. Really, I think they're still there because no one else has stepped up and said, yes, we are the dominant team this year. We're killing everybody. Michigan may be that team, but they haven't played any really good teams yet. What were you thinking?
I'm thinking can't really bring Alabama in this conversation.
No, they've already lost one.
Trying of ways to do it, but I can't really do it. I'm thinking Michigan. J.J. McCarthy's going to be going pretty high in the first round, I'm imagining, and then Jim Harbaugh's been... This arc has been building up for him to win the college football championship, and if they can dethrone Georgia, I think it's possible. I personally like Texas stock a lot at the moment, considering that Quinn Ewers is looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yes,
he'll be a high first overall pick, and then they have Arch Manning up next, basically, for a couple more years. So they'll be in a good spot. But if I have to pick a bandwagon, because we're saying Alabama's out, which I'm not entirely believing, by the way, the season isn't over and they'll have some games to show who they are. If we have to pick a bandwagon, I'm going Oregon. I just like them because of the whole Colorado thing, and I find Colorado and Deion Sanders like extremely obnoxious. So I just like everything about that game.
Oregon has been extremely dominant. I believe they're the only team to hang 80 points on anyone this season. So you may be onto something with Oregon. They are really good, and Bo Nix will finally get his season. I think this is his 5th season as a starter in college football. He used to play for Auburn and didn't do a whole lot. He's always been a decent quarterback, but this might be his year. And like I said, they are blowing teams out phenomenally, and they shut down the whole Colorado hype train. Everybody went crazy over it. But the thing about Southern Cal letting them back into that game, that has restarted the hype train for Deion in Colorado. Shedeur Sanders is a phenomenal quarterback, and like I said, he's not going to come into the league this season because Deion has already told him, no, you're staying here. I bet Deion goes to the league with Shedeur. He'll get a job somewhere as maybe even an OC. Yeah, somebody will hire him as the OC once Shedeur goes into the NFL.
That's going to be a meme team. That's going to be the kind of team I will root against just because it's going to be so annoying to hear about them all the time.
Who's the most obnoxious coach that would hire him?
As the Raiders.
You think?
I mean, I can see it, honestly. I can see it. Definitely see it. Raiders, see if they draft a. I mean, the Raiders might be in the market drafting quarterback. Like Jimmy G just can't stay healthy, right? Like how much time they give him.
Yeah, true. That would. That would be crazy if it's a package. Deion would be the guy to do that. Like, no, you cannot draft my son unless I am the OC. Yeah.
He's already said that he might not even declare for the draft because he doesn't want to not go first overall. Like, because it could be just because Caleb Williams exists, they might he might not declare for the draft because he thinks he should be first overall pick. Which I find a dangerous strategy. But Raiders would just be fitting, right? A team that's already unlikable and they're run badly, and it's just the chaos would be like perfectly welcome.
Absolutely, yeah. That's their kind of team, though. I mean, I'm sure Deion would like the 49ers or, something like that, or the Cowboys.
Yeah. Cowboys.
Yeah.
49ers don't need a quarterback. Cowboys, I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
How
Jerry
about
Jones.
the Falcons?
I don't know. It was kind of a tumultuous relationship, so
Yeah.
I don't know, but it is possible.
In your house.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how it's going to turn out. But the players want to play for Deion. I don't know if it's only college players, but the thing is, the clout. I kind of
feel like it is.
Yeah, the clout goes with Deion. They know they're going to get money there, so they want to go play. And that's how he can turn a team that was dead last in all of college football into, a top 25 team. I don't think he's going to win anything this year. Probably won't even make a New Year's Six Bowl, but he turned the team around. He's doing decent things because he basically went in there and kicked all the old kids off the team, brought in an entire new team through the transfer portal. Because kids want to be there. They want to be part of that media circus. They want that money that's going to be involved, the NIL money that's involved with Deion being there. They want that attention. Yeah.
But see, in the NFL, everyone makes a ton of money, and in the NFL, it kind of gets to the point where attention and fame is more like a distraction than anything else. Especially that's how the team's philosophies practice it, because everything is run so professionally. I feel like they pick a project team, actually, like Colorado as well. I don't think they'd want to go to the Niners or Cowboys. They want to go to a team that's bad to build them up, to have them be the ones that did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the Raiders.
Yeah.
Please. Would love to see it.
You think it'll go so bad in Las Vegas that Dion's going to get hired to be the coach, the general, or not the general manager, but the head coach?
Well, you said he's going with Shedeur Sanders, right, to wherever he gets drafted. So that could be a top 10 pick. I think he's probably the third or fourth quarterback on my board. It's not to criticize him too bad, but that's just because this upcoming quarterback class is one of the best we've ever had. I think it's entirely possible that he ends up with the Raiders. I think it's feasible. Minnesota would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if Josh McDaniels will still be there. And if,
maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, if Dion ends up being the head coach, if that does happen.
Oh boy. I want that to happen because it'll be a disaster, and I'll be there for it. I love that.
You think that'll be the one hill he can't climb, huh?
Oh, it'll be a disaster. Much more accomplished college coaches have met their maker in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, no. I don't think so. Let him stay at Colorado for a few more years, build up a program, start recruiting 5-star players, and win something. Make a top 10 ranking or something, because they're out of the top 25 and I don't think they'll make it back in.
I don't know, man. I think some owner out there might want that kind of attention on their team. I know there's a lot that don't. There's a lot that don't, absolutely, but
in
some
college,
of them will.
Because in college you're recruiting, right? And people get a free choice if they can play for you or not. So exposure helps you. In the NFL, it doesn't. Every team's exposed. They're all public franchises and they're all super famous. So exposure doesn't help you attract players. If anything, if there's a constant circus going on, players will kind of gravitate away. Which again, the Raiders fit that perfectly for the last few years. From the Antonio Brown thing, the Vontaze Burfict thing, it's Marshawn Lynch. It's perfect. They have a history of doing that. They moved to Las Vegas, literally.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to advocate for this for the rest of the year.
I think they both go to the Patriots.
No way. So Belichick retires?
No, I think he's going to be the OC until Belichick retires.
Belichick is the last person on earth who would hire this or bring that plague into his house.
I don't know.
No chance. Nope.
He's hired problematic players over and over again.
Yeah, he has, but it's because he knows that he has the entire system built around it, the disciplinary system, to where those players will fall in line within a year or they're just gone again.
Yeah, true.
And so, a Gronkowski gets a chance, right? And then either it works or it doesn't work. You're Antonio Brown now, so you got to go.
Yep, and it didn't work for Antonio, but Randy Moss, it worked out phenomenally.
Randy Moss, it worked out. Yeah, that's true. But if I can't go Alabama, I will hop on the Oregon bandwagon for this year.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. I think it's Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, I'm sure Alabama's going to be hanging around there. If their quarterback develops,
they'll win out. Alabama's going to win out. I don't see them losing again.
Oh, there's one more thing, though. Coming into this next year's draft, there is a guy who can throw the ball out of the stadium. I don't know how many people know about this, but Tennessee has a quarterback named Joe Milton, and this guy can literally throw the ball over the mountains. He's the Uncle Rico of college football. Not that well polished in accuracy, but he can literally chuck the ball over 90 yards. Josh Allen and Mahomes, they always fight and bicker back and forth, and then Anthony Richardson comes along this year and throws his name
Justin
in the hat.
Herbert is in there too.
True, yeah, he's got a big arm. This guy's better than all of them as far as distance and speed. Okay. Yeah, you might want to check out some of his. The problem is when he is accurate, the ball is going at 1 billion miles an hour, and a lot of the receivers just can't handle it. It's hot potato coming in. It's like a 747 touching down, and they can't handle these types of passes. But this guy has a phenomenal arm. He could hit home plate from the center field wall for sure, man. But yeah, check him out, Joe Milton for Tennessee.
I have to do that. I haven't really heard much of him at all. Like he's ranked 15th currently in like very early mock drafts.
Oh yeah.
So that's sort of on the verge of getting drafted at all.
Yeah, he may not, because he's not that accurate, and you know the team. It's not like he's leading the teams to all these victories. But if he gets a shot, you know, maybe he impresses some people at the combine. He's going to impress at the combine when they see
combine pro day.
Yeah, when they see him throw 90-yard passes, you know,
big time.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Well, we'll see how it goes. There's so many good quarterbacks. I'm just like,
yeah, definitely.
You could have. There's maybe 7 or 8 quarterbacks worthy of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. A lot of good ones, man. A lot of good ones coming up too. Arch Manning, Dylan Raiola. Oh wow. Yeah, there's phenomenal players on the bench about to make big names out of themselves.
Absolutely. Oh, exciting to see. Mm-hmm. Exciting to see for sure. Do we have anything to add for this week's NFL predictions then?
No, I think that's it for this week.
Then I would invite everyone to leave us a comment telling us about your picks, anything you disagree with us on vehemently, and also go to the channel page, the community page, and go vote for your NFL MVP. If the season ended today. Not who's the favorite to win it, but who would win it if the season ended today. So far it's always been Tua. I'm curious if it stays that way or if the popular opinion is kind of shifting a little bit, but we'll learn about that over the upcoming week. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard, ha. Check.